Hello, and a good morning, good afternoon, good evening, wherever you are around the world, and welcome to today's specific Heriot-Watt University about becoming an interpreter or translator. This should be an exciting session. It's one that we very rarely get to hear from anywhere around the world, so it's quite a unique session. A reminder that today's session is live. If you have any questions, any concerns, any opportunities to say hello and where you're from, please pop that in the chat facility or in the Q&A facility, and we'll endeavour to get round to your questions during the Q&A at the end. So the quick structure will be, I'm just going to introduce you to Jose, who's going to be is the program director for the program. Once I do hand over, I will be in the background moderating and answering any questions. I will be back for the Q&A towards the end. If you do have any questions, like I said, please pop it on there. But for now, Jose, I'd like to hand over to you. At some stage, we might see Katerina pop on. If we do, feel free to say hi in the chat and feel free to introduce Jose. But over to you for now.
Okay, so, welcome. I wanted to give you a very well welcome to this webinar about our postgraduate programs here in Translation and Interpreting at Heriot-Watt University. My name is José Maria Conde, and I am the Program Director for Postgraduate Translation and Interpreting Programs. I'm delighted that you have joined us today. In the next 45 minutes or so, we will be giving you an overview of what makes our programs distinctive, from our hands-on approach to training to our strong professional links and the opportunities that our students have to specialize in areas such as conference interpreting, public service interpreting, or audiovisual translation, to name a few. We will also look at career prospects, the kind of support and community that you will find here, and of course, you will have to the opportunity to ask any questions at the end. So, whether you're based in the UK, Europe, or further away, we hope that this session gives you a clear sense of how studying at Heriot-Watt can help you develop the skills, confidence, and professional networks needed for a successful and rewarding career in languages. Today, I'm also joined by two great women. There is Caterina Strani, Dr. Caterina Strani, who is the deputy head of the department. I'll let her introduce herself.
It's okay. Hello, everyone. My name is Caterina Strani, and I'm the Deputy Head of Department of Languages and Intercultural Studies. I'm looking forward to discussing everything about becoming an interpreter and translator in the new era with you, and also discussing our programs. Thank you.
Thank you, Caterina. And we are also joined by Ayla Novak, who is a current student at one of our programs. So, Ayla, if you can introduce yourself, please.
Hi, everyone. I'm Ayla. I'm currently an MSc student doing translation and interpreting, and I also did my undergraduate degree at Heriot-Watt in the same subject. I'm really happy to be here and talk about my experience with the MSc and being a student at Heriot-Watt and in Edinburgh, and hopefully answer your questions. It's a really great course. I'm always happy to talk about it. Yeah. And hopefully you enjoy it.
Okay, thank you so much, Caterina and Ayla. Now, let me start by saying a little bit more about the structure of our programs. We've got different programs, but today we're going to be mainly focusing on our interpreting and translating. However, we would like to let you know that we offer a range of specialized pathways, including our MSc in Translating, our MSc in Interpreting, and a combined option like this one that you can see on the screen, and which is the course that we will mostly focus on today. Each of these courses is designed to help you build both core skills and specialist expertise, depending on your professional goals. Something that we really value about our programs is the flexibility built into them. Many students may begin on one pathway, and once they've experienced different modules, whether that's conference interpreting, audiovisual translation, or public service interpreting, they might decide that they want to adjust their focus. So we want to make it easy to tailor your journey or even switch to a different program at the beginning of the first semester, as long as the core requirements are met. This flexibility means that you can discover what really motivates you and align your studies with the career path that suits you the best. Whether that's working in international organizations, the media, the public sector, or the private market. So, as you can see on the screen, this is our program structure for our MSc in Interpreting and Translating. As you can see, we've got 3 semesters. In semester 1, you will be doing translation practice. Then you will be doing skills for interpreting, which is basically all the skills that you need for conference interpreting. Then translation and interpreting studies, a theory-based course, which is also very interesting. And then one optional course. Among the optional courses, you can either choose international politics and organizations, business communication and communication in the workplace, intercultural communication in the workplace, or you can choose a more interpreting related course, which is liaison and public service interpreting, subtitling, or translation technologies. In semester 2, you will continue doing translation practice, conference interpreting, research methods, which is a course that will help you work on your skills to work towards your dissertation, and finally an optional course, which is either Introduction to the Translation and Interpreting Professions, a very successful course among our students and recently introduced, or Liaison Interpreting for Business, again, another optional course on interpreting. Then you would move on to the semester 3, which is the summer semester, where you will be doing your MSc dissertation for a couple of months. You will be supported by a supervisor who will help you in that particular journey. Let me now move on about and speak about professional languages skills. So I'd like to ask Katerina, Katerina, how important do you think professional language skills are in the workplace and the job market?
Well, I would say more than ever today in an increasingly globalized world, and with the rise of remote working and hybrid working. In fact, some of us are doing it right now. And the importance also of technology-mediated communication, as I'm pretty sure all our participants are aware of, and they are probably working in this environment as well. So this context requires new skills, not just IT skills, but also new skills in interlingual and intercultural communication because of the increasing importance of the medium of technology. What the MSc in Translation and Interpreting equips you with is not just proficiency in consecutive and simultaneous interpreting, but also expertise in computer-assisted translation tools, training with generative AI, excellent written and oral communication, of course, but also the strong cultural awareness and intercultural competence that is key in this context. It also equips you with research skills for terminology and glossary management, project management, and also teamwork abilities. But let me say a few words, since you asked me the question, Jose, let me say a few words about the globalized world of business, because I'd like to dispel a few myths that perhaps exist. And we've already published this information in key industry outlets, so you can find it online. And if you want, we can provide links afterwards. So there's this myth that English is a global language, and because of this, the myth is that we don't need to speak any other languages, or we don't need translation and interpreting services anymore. English is the primary language of about 4% of the global population. However, it's not the sole driver in certain sectors, and other languages matter equally, as we've said. International business, which requires interpreting and translation, is not always conducted in English. And many multinational companies have a presence in other French, Spanish, Arabic-speaking regions, Mandarin-speaking regions worldwide. So proficiency in these languages gives graduates a competitive edge in the job market anyway. Mandarin in particular, Chinese, is of paramount importance in global business. And lack of awareness in these languages, but also the cultural norms that come with them, is an important gap in global business skills. There's some research also which was published in a 2021 report from the House of Lords. I think you can see this on the slide, on workforce skills. And this very illuminating report found that there has been a significant language deficit in the UK that damages UK business. In fact, the economic costs of what the report calls language ignorance were estimated up to £48 billion in 2006. Now, that's quite a long time, you will say, but the picture is not much better today. That's 3.5% of the national income. That's a huge deficit because of the language skills gap that we have in the UK, and that's something that we really need to bridge. The research also found that small and medium-sized companies which make use of languages, they had 30% better success in exporting. So it really pays better to have the language skills in your workforce. And finally, the research shows that people make different decisions when speaking a second language. And I'm pretty sure that many of the participants who are multilingual already know this. This has been called the foreign language effect. And researchers have found that if you encounter a situation through a second language, this enhances your rational decision making. So speaking and practicing and working in more than one language means that you have better critical abilities, you make better decisions, and also investors are less swayed by the phrasing of information when it comes to that. So in a nutshell, these language skills are of paramount importance, and also interpreting and translation skills in particular, and intercultural awareness are of paramount importance. Do you want me to speak about AI now, José, or do you want me to leave it for later?
Please do. Okay,
I think this is on the next slide. So something about generative AI here. This is another myth or perhaps another concern that we'd like to address. There has been the concern that human translators and interpreters will be replaced by technology because of the advances of generative AI. So in the industry, we're actually really excited with generative AI and all the developments, because we know that human translators and interpreters are not being replaced, they're just being redefined. It's been introduced in other fields as well, generative AI, the flight industry, medicine, with very impressive results, but which also show us, however, that human input is still necessary. I see some comments in the chat. We will deal with these comments after the presentation, so please keep them coming and we will answer them all in bulk in the end. So there's a growing demand for AI literate language professionals, and we do train you for this. AI is brilliant with some language work, but it struggles with cultural nuance, it struggles with humor, it suffers from what we call hallucinations, where sometimes it will produce inaccurate translations because of some systemic issues with data, or because of the data we feed it. So it struggles with idioms as well, with accents, with emotion, and with subtext, which, as we know, is paramount in communication. This is why skilled human linguists are uniquely capable of this. Another thing that is important, or another aspect of communication that is important, is confidentiality and ethical judgment, which is hugely, which is crucial in certain settings of legal settings, for example, medical settings, or diplomatic and political settings. This is it's a huge part of the discussion and debate surrounding AI and our work. So in a nutshell, humans have a strategic advantage of critical thinking, nuance, cultural adaptation, critical and informed decision-making without the hallucinations of AI, but also ethical oversight and creativity and style. Not to mention the empathy, the audience awareness, and the adaptability that we have. But don't just take our word for it. We have links with international organizations who employ interpreters and translators and who can vouch for this as well. José, I was wondering if you could tell us a little bit more about this.
Yes, indeed. Well, regarding AI, I mean, I'm sure that every attendee of this event has seen this crazy and inaccurate translations, to say the least, here and there. So, we have to take that with a pinch of salt and at the same time embrace it, definitely. Now, I'd like to take a minute to speak about one aspect that really sets out our programs apart from others, which is our strong and long-standing links with international organizations. We work closely with several major institutions, including the Directorate General for Interpretation, also known as SCIC. This is the interpreting service of the European Commission. We also engage with the European Parliament, the United Nations, NATO, the European Court of Auditors, and the European Central Bank, to name a few. These partnerships are not just symbolic. They translate into real benefits for our students. You can see this picture here. This is from this month, where we were able to take a group of students, including Ayla, who is sitting there in the middle. And we took them to European Union institutions and facilities. Ayla might want to say something about this later. This collaboration that we've got with SCIC includes training sessions which are delivered by professional interpreters currently working for EU institutions, as well as feedback and insights that bring the classroom experience closer to real-world conference interpreting. We also benefit from virtual classes with SCIC trainers, which are a fantastic opportunity for students to practice under the guidance of senior professionals from EU institutions. And every year, we organize a study visit to Brussels, as you can see in the picture. And this gives the students the opportunity to experience interpreting booths in action, meet with interpreters from the EU institutions, and gain a deeper understanding of how multilingual communication works at the heart of Europe. These connections help ensure that our programs stay relevant, practice-oriented, and closely aligned with the expectations of major employers in the language services fields. But we also have industry links. Katrina, can you give us a few more examples of these links that we've got with the industry?
Yes, thank you. And I will get back to that message in the chat in a minute. It was about fees, and I'm about to write about the international fees as well. So please, I appreciate your patience with that. Industry links, absolutely. As you can see from the slide, we also have industry links. I wonder why I cannot look. Oh, there we are. I can look at it. I can see it. So as you can see from the slide, we have links with various organizations, industry-based organizations, industry-level organizations. And I'm not going to repeat them because you can see them on the slide. However, I'm going to give some examples of the links we have in industry and how this is translated, if you like, in your experience as a student. We have various events that we organize with industry every year. One of our flagship events is what we call SWATI, starting work as a translator and interpreter. And in this event, we invite our network of alumni, but also our network of potential employers and representatives from professional bodies, agencies, and other organizations, such as AIC, which is the International Association of Conference Interpreters, the Chartered Institute of Linguists, the Institute of Translation and Interpreting, and various other organizations. And they speak to our students. They give them tips and advice and guidance about starting work as a translator and interpreter, and it's an excellent networking opportunity. The fact that many of these are alumni also speak to the employability of our programs and the high positions and the important positions that our graduates go on to have or to achieve. We also have an event called Alternative Careers for Linguists, because sometimes we understand that people may change their mind. They may realize that translation and interpreting is maybe not for them, or for various reasons they want to look at an alternative career. We have an abundance, and we have many examples of alternative careers for linguists, such as journalists working in careers in journalism, working in the finance industry, working in media and communications, working in marketing, working in diplomacy and politics. Quite a few of our graduates work in diplomacy and politics, working for NGOs, working for the third sector, working in environmental governance. You name it. I could be talking for hours about this. And we also then have representatives from these sectors who come and speak to our graduates and also network with them. Because of our strong links with industry, we also host various conferences with partners. For example, the Institute of Translation and Interpreting hosted their annual conference at Heriot-Watt last year with great success, which also strengthened our links with this organization. There is also the VEGA network from AIC, from this Association of International Conference Interpreters, which is very much a sort of public engagement, but also industry and network that is very active, and we have great links with. They also visited us rather in 2024, and they are planning further visits in the coming years. We enjoy a very long-standing partnership, with the Edinburgh Spanish Film Festival, and José is a key figure in that, where our interpreters, our student interpreters from the MSc course, interpret for the Spanish Film Festival in Edinburgh. This is an international festival with huge audiences, and they interpret for directors, for film producers, for anybody, for Q&As, for events from Spanish into English and vice versa. We have ties with SKIC, and José has also talked about this. And we also have frequent guest lectures and workshops with or run by our industry partners. We also enjoy important and valuable partnerships with NRCPD and Deaf Action from the British Sign Language point of view. But yeah, I think that's about it when it comes to industry links. And please let us know if you need any more information. As I said, we could be talking for hours about our links with industry, but this was just a snapshot. I'll go back to the chat now.
Okay, so now I'd like to ask Ayla to share her own experience about this. So Ayla, why did you choose to come back to Heriot-Watt to study for an MSc in Translation and Interpreting? Can you tell us a bit about your experience, anything that you think might be relevant for attendees? Thank you.
Yeah, of course. Just like with industry links, I could talk about this for hours. I firstly chose to study translation and interpreting for my undergrad because I wanted to do a language course at a university that was really practical with languages, and I wanted to be speaking French and Spanish a lot and listening to it and using it practically. And that's exactly what the course was like. I absolutely loved it. And then I graduated in 2023, and last year I spent a year in France working as an English teacher to improve my French. Which was super useful before coming back for the MSc. And I think a big part of the Heriot-Watt Languages department that a lot of people would agree with me on is that it's a really lovely atmosphere. All the lecturers are so engaged and supportive, and you really feel like you're part of a community, and that's really important for me. So that's one of the reasons I came back. Also, it feels like there's a real network among current students and alumni in terms of employability. And also some of the lecturers are practicing interpreters and translators, and that's really valuable to get their insights on working in those sectors, but also I was recommended for professional assignments in interpreting through one of the lecturers as well. And all the events that take place out with the actual course that were kind of just mentioned are also so valuable, and to have the opportunity to communicate directly with people who are working in translation and interpreting or in alternative sectors that studied at Heriot-Watt um, with translation and interpreting is really useful, and you network with them and get inspiration, and you can keep in touch and kind of see what they're doing. Also, the multilingual debate, which there's a photo of that up there now, is always such an exciting event. It takes place every year. There's an online one and then an in-person one, which is the photo there. And it's a chance for the interpreting students to do a live interpreting event. Most of the time for the first time. It was my first time in my undergraduate, but then I also did it this year. And it's a debate on a certain topic where all the speeches are in different languages, which means that interpretation is required. And the audience is a few hundred high school students who are getting to see how interpreting works. And as you can see in the photo, you work in interpreting booths. So it's all very realistic in terms of a professional interpreting environment. And it's a really, really good practice opportunity as well. Also, I wanted to talk about like being a student at Heriot-Watt in general, because I think that's interesting. And the university is on a campus, so it's a bus ride away from the city centre. And I think this is really lovely because you are on the campus surrounded by all the other students and lecturers, and it's a really nice atmosphere. The campus is beautiful and there's a lot of nature, so it's just a nice place to spend time. There's also a sports center called Orium, and it has really, really great facilities. There's a gym and also lots of different courts and pitches for different sports. And recently they added tennis courts, which I was really happy about. So they really have a bit of everything. And in general, there's so many different sports you can join. I played hockey. I played for a long time, and it's a really great aspect of student life because you meet people that are on other courses, and it obviously takes your mind off of studying. Um, and I was also in the orchestra in my undergraduate degree, which was really enjoyable, again, to meet different people. Um, the library is really great. It's very modern and there are great facilities. Individual study rooms as well, for example, that you can book, and different group spaces for like projects and practicing presentations. Um, I think, yeah, that's everything I wanted to say. But yeah, in general, I'm really glad I came back.
Thank you so much, Ayla. Now I'd like to speak a bit about our facilities, because I think this is something that that we are really proud of. At Heriot-Watt, we are proud to have 3 state-of-the-art interpreting labs, which are fully equipped with the same technology used in the interpreting booths as the of the European Commission. We've got exactly the same consoles that you can see here. And that's something that we use on an everyday basis. This gives our students the opportunity to train using the very tools that they will encounter in high-level professional settings. In addition to these interpreting labs, we also have 2 language labs and a self-study laboratory, which is ideal for developing your listening, pronunciation, and language comprehension skills in an independent way. You will also have access to dedicated computer labs and a wide range of audiovisual teaching equipment, which is essential for courses involving subtitling, audiovisual translation, and remote interpreting. Altogether, these resources are designed to help you build confidence, technical competence, and professional readiness. Whether you're preparing for a conference interpreting exam, a subtitling assignment, or a collaborative translation project. And of course, you will also benefit from a wide range of specialized resources that cover various subject areas so that you can develop thematic experience alongside your language and interpreting skills. I'm talking about legal, economic, scientific, and political areas. Okay, so now I'd like to move on to our to speak about our Edinburgh campus, which is, I think, a very interesting place to study at. As you can see here, well, you could see the library behind. Let me explain that the Edinburgh campus is located in Riccarton, which is just a short journey from the city centre. It is very easy to reach. There are frequent buses running from central Edinburgh, including direct routes from Princess Street, Haymarket Station, and there are currently 5 bus routes serving our Riccarton campus, and the frequency of these buses is very high. The campus itself is modern, green, and self-contained, with everything you need within walking distance. Teaching spaces, accommodation, catering, sports facilities, and peaceful green areas where you can relax or study outdoors. Believe it or not, this is Scotland, yes, but for example, today we've got a very lovely day. We've had 2 very sunny weeks, so this does happen in Scotland too. And our campus is particularly beautiful at this time of the year. It's also a really safe and friendly environment, which is perfect for focused study and still very well connected to the culture and buzz of the city. In terms of accommodation, we offer a range of on-campus options, from standard rooms to ensuite facilities. And living on campus is a great way to meet other students and feel part of the university community from day one. Our student residences are modern and comfortable, and you are just minutes away from classes, the library, and all other campus facilities. In our view, overall, Riccarton offers the best of both worlds. A calm, well-equipped space to study and live with the energy and opportunities of Edinburgh just a short ride away. Now, I'd like to move on to and ask a question to Ayla. I'd like you, Ayla, to talk about what sort of opportunities for development and networking you've had here while at Heriot-Watt University.
Well, as I kind of mentioned before, there's the Swati event, which is so useful to go round for about 10 minutes each in small groups and talk to a range of a number of professionals who are doing a range of jobs within the translation and interpreting sector, and just ask them any questions you have. And also, it is really nice to meet them and feel like you are networking and build connections in the industry as well. Also, the Alternative Careers for Linguists session is really good to kind of open your eyes to what other work you could do apart from translation and interpreting with the degree. Personally, I would want to do interpreting in the future, but it's really encouraging and quite inspiring to see the range of things you can actually do with the degree. And you kind of realize the skills that the degree gives you that you maybe hadn't thought of before. And the professionals who speak at this event are doing really fascinating work. So it's really a really valuable experience. Also, I kind of mentioned this earlier too, but there seems to be a kind of a really close-knit network with the alumni that studied the course, and they tend to send one of our lecturers any job opportunities that come up that they've heard of, or that are or that come up within the company they work in, and they're passed on to us, which is really helpful. And also the lecturers who are currently also working as interpreters or translators um, give us job opportunities quite frequently as well, or even internships and volunteering opportunities, which are really valuable as well. Um, there's also a practice group for interpreting. It's called the Edinburgh Interpreting Practice Group, so it's not exclusively for Heriot-Watt students, which I think is really good to open it up to the public and again network and get to know people in the industry. This usually takes place every couple of weeks during the academic year, and it's just a chance for extra practice out with the classroom environment, which I know can feel kind of less pressurizing. So it's it's a really good option to have. And those who attend can write their own speeches, and speech writing is a really good skill to have as a translator and interpreter. And you can deliver your speech and people interpret it, and you listen to them and give them feedback. So it's just a nice opportunity for extra practice. Um, Also, on the MSc particularly, there are students from other countries other than the UK, which I find really inspiring, and it makes the atmosphere really interesting, and you get good insights and different opinions when you're discussing things about the industry, and it's interesting to see how they trained in their own countries and what that can bring to the the course as well. Um, yeah, I would say that's everything.
Thank you so much, Ayla. Now, someone was asking about our location in the UK. Well, let me talk a bit more about where we are. We are in Edinburgh, which is the capital of Scotland, and here are some pictures of this city. Uh, as you will know, Edinburgh is Scotland's capital city, so you benefit from everything that comes with that. So a vibrant cultural life, a strong international presence, an excellent infrastructure, and world-class institutions. But at the same time, it's a very manageable city. It's less than 500,000 inhabitants. It's easy to navigate. It's safe. It's welcoming, and it's not overwhelming in scale. As I was saying before, public transport is reliable and well connected. And one of the real advantages is how close the international airport is. It's just 30 minutes away by bus from the city center, which makes it very easy to travel home or attend events and conferences across Europe and beyond. One of the things that our students really appreciate is how green the city is. You're never far from a park, a hill, a peaceful space. You can see a picture here of Arthur's Seat, the meadows, and the water of Leith, which are just a few examples of the many places where you can unwind or even study outdoors. Oops, sorry. So what also makes Edinburgh truly special, it's unique blend of the local and the global. It's a city which is rich, which has a very rich identity, a city full of opportunities, and and highly stimulating from a cultural and intellectual point of view. As you may also know, the city hosts world-famous festivals throughout the year, including the Edinburgh International Festival, the French, the Book Festival, and the Hogmanay celebrations. So there is always something going on. Concerts, exhibitions, theater, food markets, and this makes Edinburgh feel truly alive all year round. Even on a Tuesday of a rainy November evening, there is always something going on. So Edinburgh offers a rare combination of cosmopolitan energy and local character. And it's set in a stunning natural landscape. It's a fantastic place to live, explore, and grow as a student and beyond. Now, I'd like to talk a bit about our career, the different career pathways that we've got here in Edinburgh, in our department and beyond. So, one of the here are some of the examples that I'd like to stop and talk about in a second. And one of the questions that we are often asked is, what kind of careers do students go into after graduating from our programs? And the short answer is there is a wide range. Our students have gone on to work in areas such as professional translation and interpreting, of course, but also in fields like subtitling, audiovisual translation, language technology, project management, and even business consultancy. Some of our students build careers as freelance conference or public service interpreters. They also work with international institutions, NGOs, or in healthcare and legal settings. Others join language service providers, publishing houses, multinational companies, where their linguistic and intercultural skills are in high demand. We also have graduates who pursue careers in academia and research, or who go on to further studies, such as PhDs in translation studies, interpreting, or related fields. The skills that you gain on our programs, like communication, analytical thinking, cross-cultural competence, adaptability, open doors far beyond the traditional language professions. In an increasingly global job market, those with strong language and mediation skills are incredibly valuable. We also provide plenty of support along the way, including guest lectures, career events, networking opportunities, as Ayla was just saying, and also links with employers and professional bodies to help you explore your options and plan your next steps. Now, I'd like to give you some examples of some of our graduates. Let's start with Ross Noble, who graduated with us a number of years ago. He started working as an in-house translator, and then he became a freelance translator before doing an MSc and refocusing on interpreting. He then became a SCIC freelance interpreter before finally becoming a SCIC staff interpreter. He has also worked for the UN, and he's currently the head of Irish at SCIC in Brussels. Here is Rona Koppler, who is currently who worked before as a freelance and in-house translator, and is now a freelance conference interpreter working for various international organizations in Geneva, Switzerland. Let's move on to Adam Williamson, who finished in 2016, and he has recently passed his accreditation test in Brussels, where he is happily living and doing what he loves doing the most, which is interpreting for one of the top interpreter employers in the world. Recently, as I was mentioning before, we were in Brussels. I was in Brussels with the students. We met with Adam, and he's living the dream of his life. Carly Webster also started as a subtitler, and she has been working as such for Netflix for the last few years. Anna is an ITV producer. I mean, the range of career pathways that take place or that are offered after studying with us is huge. And I would just like to mention some of our employers, some of the employers that take on our graduates. So, for example, for international organizations, I could mention DG SCIC, DG Translation in the European Union, the EU Committee of the Regions, UNESCO, UNFPA, UN Peace Operations, the Olympic Committee. In the academic sector, we've got graduates working at the University of Tours in France, of the University of Granada in Spain, the University of Stirling, of the University of Edinburgh, even for the Ministry of Education of New Zealand. We have graduates working for private companies such as Amazon, Facebook, L'Oreal, Google, the Bank of Scotland, HSBC, Channel 4. Then companies in the Far East like China Daily, South China Morning Post, Altadis, etc. So as you can see, the range of career pathways that open up after taking one of our MSc courses are quite big. Now, I'd like to finish this presentation by thanking you all for staying here until the end. Also, I'd like to thank Caterina and Ayla for their very important contributions. And now it's down to you. Please feel free to ask any questions you may have. Do it in the chat, or feel free to raise your hand and ask a question. I'll let Caterina deal with this part, if that's okay.
Yes, thank you, Jose. Perhaps not answer all questions, but I will coordinate them. So we can start with the questions that have been posted on the under Q&A, and somebody had their hand up, but I'm not sure if the hand is up now or if it's now been lowered. So the first question is, what does a typical day look like for professional interpreters? Would you like to start, Jose, and then I can chip in?
Yeah.
Or maybe Ayla. Sorry. Whoever.
Ayla, do you want to share your own experience?
You can start, Ayla.
Yeah, I'd love to.
Yeah.
I moved back to Scotland from France last April, and over the summer I happened to get a few interpreting jobs, which I wasn't expecting, and it was a really great way to kind of segue into the MSc as well. But one of the lecturers, my French interpreting lecturer, recommended me for an interpreting assignment, interpreting with French on cruises going around the Scottish Highlands and Islands. And I did two, they were for a week each, and it was an amazing opportunity. We were a team of 5 or 6 interpreters, so I got to meet them and network, and it was great practice, of course. We interpreted on excursions and trips that took place on land in each location. For example, we went to Skara Brae on Orkney, and we went to different historical sites such as on the Isle of Lewis, on Skye, and then on the east coast of Scotland, like Inverness and Aberdeenshire. And it was a really amazing opportunity. I also interpreted for the World Indoor Athletics Championships last spring, and this was online interpreting for a conference that was called the Coaches Club, and it was different talks and discussions with academics within sports science, and also ex-Olympians and Olympic coaches, and this was with Spanish. I also had the amazing opportunity to interpret for the First Lady of Colombia in a conference in Switzerland last summer that was a week long, and it was about restoring democracy and being a collaborative society to work towards this, and there were lots of discussions on that. So generally, you get to travel to really cool places and meet cool people, but you sometimes also do online interpreting, and it's a real mix of those. Yeah.
Thank you. Can I come in, José, perhaps, before you take on?
Of course.
So thank you for this, Ayla. I have some other perspectives as well, in addition to what to Ayla's experience. So you asked for a day as a professional interpreter. Professional interpreters work in various settings. For example, Ayla has explained some of the settings that she has, or some of the contexts that she has worked in. I've worked as a conference interpreter, but also as a public service interpreter. And as a conference interpreter, it was mostly booth work that I did, and I interpreted for FIFA back in the day, and for branches of the International Maritime Organization and some other international organizations. I had booth mates, and the day in this type of work is quite intense because you interpret for full days across full days. You start early, you work as a team, you work with your booth partners, but also you work with the speakers, you liaise with them, you do a lot of networking, you go and speak to them during the breaks, making sure that communication is smooth. And then you constantly update glossaries, you read, you update your sources, and it's pretty full on. For public service interpreting, things are a little bit different. So you make, depending on whether you interpret for the courts, which I've done. José, I'm sure you've done all this before as well. So for the court, or for the National Health Service, or for hospitals, or NGOs, or various other public service interpreting contexts. That is different because there's usually not any booths involved. It's what we call liaison interpreting, so a conversation interpreting. You speak both languages, and that's where you again, it probably doesn't happen over many days. It happens over a few hours, but information is is more sparse, so you don't get much information. You get more information on the day. You do a lot of work with the communities, and it's more work on a personal level rather than behind a booth. So the short answer is that it varies, but hopefully we've given you some examples. José, would you like to come in here?
Yes, thank you. I mean, I would say that one of the most attractive things of a career as a conference interpreter, which is what I've mostly done, is that every day is different. Normally, I mean, you might work for here in Scotland, it's very typical to work with fisheries, about fisheries, for example. You might be working about that for 3 days, but before that, you have to prepare for that, and you spend a week preparing for that. And that's also a very interesting part of the work. You can collaborate with others, you can practice, and I think that's also very important. And at Heriot-Watt, we offer the opportunity for you to practice by using our facilities. Also, let me give you the example. In 2021, the COP26, the Conference of the Parties, took place in Glasgow, and there were, I think, 14 or 15 of us working there. When I say us, I mean staff and also graduates. So I was sharing the booth. I was very proud to share the booth with some of our graduates, who at the beginning felt a bit daunted by sharing a booth with their lecturer, but within half an hour, everything went as it had to, because they were great interpreters. So that's one of the good things of our department. I would say that we are a small department, and we really get to know our graduates, our students. We talk to them. We we offer them opportunities, even work opportunities. And if they stay in touch, there is always the opportunity to provide them with more opportunities beyond their time here at Heriot-Watt.
Okay. Now moving on to the next question, because we don't have much time left. How do I get experience? So I will read all the questions and then we'll see if we can answer them together, some of them. So we have, how do I get experience? I think we've already answered this question because of, or thanks to the initiatives that we have with practice. I think Isla mentioned the Edinburgh interpreting practice group, and all the experience that we have with industries, the SKIC pedagogical assistance, but also the SKIC practice. So you do get experience, the study visits in Brussels, and also some of the study visits in the Scottish Parliament. I don't know if you meant how do you get work experience, but I think, again, the links with industry and the networking events that we have probably answered that question, especially the AIC Vega network, which very much focus on networking with professional interpreters and also aspiring professional interpreters. Then we have the question. Oh, sorry, Jose, did you want to say something?
I was just going to add to that we also try to offer opportunities, volunteer opportunities, which is how many of us started our career a number of years ago. I'll leave it there. And for example, we have this long-standing relationship with the Spanish Film Festival. Ayla has participated there as a volunteer interpreter. And we are starting conversations with the French Film Festival as well. So we are trying to build this big range of volunteer opportunities, which is a way to start in the profession without the pressure of being paid, being able to make mistakes without any consequences, so to speak. And we try to promote that as much as possible. We always collaborate with fully ethical companies or organizations, and that's something that we really value and our students also value.
Thank you. Indeed. What type of learning is it? Is it exams? So there's a mixture of exams and coursework, but for the interpreting course, the interpreting classes in particular, Jose, please correct me if I'm wrong, it's exams and it's booth-based exams or live sort of liaison interpreting, depending on the type of interpreting exams. There's also coursework in some other sort of coursework-based or written-based classes. And we also have the dissertation. And the dissertation takes place over 3 months over the summer. And this is a research project. It's a research dissertation. Or you can choose a translation and commentary if you want as a dissertation. Which takes place over the summer months or over the autumn months if you are doing it part-time. Jose, I think that was enough for that question, yeah. Right?
Yes, I agree. Yeah.
Then the other question is, does it need to be in English? We have 2 strands, as we say, strand A and strand B. Strand A is you focus on 2 languages. You choose 2 languages into English. And then strand B is you have 1 language, but you work both ways. So for example, Spanish, English, English, Spanish, or French, English, English, Spanish. The other question is, hello, do you have online programs? We don't have an online program yet. So this is all on site in our Edinburgh campus. Does it matter if I use AI? We promote the ethical use of AI and we have an AI policy. So you can use it if you use it ethically and transparently, and we can give you more information if you follow up with us. Can I get the slides of the training? I don't know, Jose, if the slides are available. I'm guessing they are available to our participants. Maybe they're sent to them. I think that's a question for our marketing team, but I would imagine that you can get the slides of this afterwards if you've registered. I think I will focus on one question because the rest of them have to do with admissions, and anything that has to do with admissions, fees. We've given some information on fees, which is also on our website. But anything that has to do with admissions, if you email Jose, then we will forward your email to our admissions team because they deal with all this. But I'd like to just focus on one question, and Jose, maybe we can answer this together. So Donatus is asking, I can express myself in English, French, and a bit of Spanish. How can this help me go professional with your program? So maybe you'd like to answer this as program director then, Jose.
Well, we offer English plus Chinese, French, German, and Spanish. There are ways for you to improve your languages here. There is a strong community, a strong international community, so there are opportunities for you to liaise with other students and potentially audit some of our language courses, potentially. There are also, so there are different opportunities. In any case, if you're interested in our programs, you should apply for them, and then you would go through an interview process where we would assess your language level. And if we think that it is at the right level, for example, if you want to be working from Spanish and French into English, Spanish and French being passive languages where you don't have to work into them, then we will let you know. However, if you are particularly strong in, say, German or French, but you don't have another language, then we would recommend you to take our Strand A, working from and into English and that particular foreign language. I hope that answers the question.
Excellent.
And Alexandra, sorry, one last thing. Yes. So Alexandra is asking about literary translation, and very quickly to say that yes, you can pursue a career in literary translation. It is a very different form of translation, and all I would say now is, firstly, please email Jose so that we can follow this up in greater detail. But all I would say now for this webinar is that if you want to continue with literary translation, we would strongly recommend you write your dissertation on translation and commentary. So you choose to translate a 6,000-word literary piece, and then it means that you have the grounding of literary translation, which is assessed at MSc level, if you're interested in pursuing this. But please do follow up with Jose, and we will follow up with you in greater detail because we have a lot to say about literary translation, and there's not much time here. Thanks, Alexandra.
Thank you all.
And that's me.
Thank you so much. Thank you. I really appreciate everyone's time there. I'm sure the one takeaway from me watching that is the passion from all three of them, really, from Isla, the current student, from Katerina and Jose. I'm sure they could sit and talk about this topic all day, no doubt. But unfortunately, we do have to shoehorn them into a slight time frame. Anyone watching who has any questions, any concerns, anything that they're not sure about, like Katerina said, please email Jose. He's put his email address in the chat facility, but anyone that has registered will get a copy of this presentation, this webinar session, so please worry not if you've missed anything. If anyone has any concerns or any issues surrounding the webinar, it's webinars@postgradsolutions.com, and I can assure you, Heriot-Watt, the admissions team, will have all your information, all your details, so they will reach out. They will give you more information on the funding, on the scholarships that everyone's kind of asked questions about that we've not been able to go into more details about. So if anyone is waiting for that kind of information, that should take place in the next week or so. So please worry not. Jose, Katerina, Isla, thank you for your time. Really appreciate that. And we look forward to seeing you hopefully towards the end of the year, but if not next year, talking about 2026, which seems insane, but that's where we're going to be. So best of luck. Have a lovely summer, and we'll see you soon.